just wanna dance and feel good.
Hello everybody. This video is going to be about doing an NPC Bikini show and the harsh reality that I really found out while doing a show that nobody kind of talks about. So it's all my opinion on doing a show and just kind of an educational thing, so check it out.
Everything is new in love. It's stronger than the both of us.
So after I was doing my prep for 4 months, like I was about a month out from my show, and I was just so depleted from being at the gym 3 hours a day, eating like 1,200 calories, doing like 2 hours of cardio a day for 4 months. Like I was really exhausted, and like my mental capacity was just like having a rough time with it. And I remember my parents were like, why are you doing this to yourself? Like, you are so unhappy. And I was just like, because I don't want to quit. I'm gonna do this. I think I want to do this. You know, I was just like, but I was a freaking zombie. Like I had no personality. I was just like this at the dinner table all the time, like watching them eat their meals because I couldn't eat any of it. And I couldn't go out for birthdays. I couldn't eat anything because I was on prep, and I was just like, it is what it is. I remember, this is what my parents told me, I would always like walk around like this because I was like so tired of like, I was so tired and depleted and just like exhausted. My parents were like, Rachel, stand up straight. And I was like, I am. And then they're like, no, stand up straight. And I was like, no, I'm seriously like, I'm too weak to stand up straight. Like I remember saying that and having that conversation with my parents, and they were like, holy frick, you should not be doing this. Like, Rachel, do you hear what you're saying? And I was like, wow, okay. For me, it was just so exhausting, and like, I was just not in a good state of mind when I was doing it. And I just was like, really, really unhappy, even though you post on social media saying like, oh my gosh, look how shredded I am. Oh my gosh, at the gym. But in reality, the whole time I was like, I hated the gym. I did not want to go to the gym. I was so bitter about waking up at 5 a.m. to go to fasted cardio. I was freaking pissed. But nobody knew, because you know, you have to put on this like tough game of like, oh my gosh, I'm doing a show, I'm in fitness. Everyone has this expectation of like what I need to be happy about. So nobody knew that I was really upset about doing the show, because I was just like, I had to put on this face of it's all nice and dandy, but reality was pissed every time I had to walk into the gym. I remember I had to have people help me through my workouts because I was like so angry with my workouts that I just didn't want to go. And I was like, I seriously need a gym partner because I don't want to be here anymore. I freaking hated the gym. It was really bad. Oh yeah, now I remember. So you have to spend about 3 hours a day. So in the morning you do your fasted cardio, you go back and you like get your on. And then you do more cardio right after that. And then what my diet kind of looked like was super, super, super restricted. Like in the morning, I'd wake up and have oatmeal and egg whites. Then I would have chicken and sweet potatoes. Then I would have some more chicken and sweet potatoes. And then I'd have protein shake and almonds. And it's a very strict diet, the way I was coached, which is pretty typical. Like you have to be on a super strict diet for these things. And what someone was telling me was like, oh, well, I thought if you kind of like do those shows, do like super healthy. And for me, that's when I was kind of like at my all-time, not my all-time low, but like I was not really good mentally when I was doing my show, because it's just like it messes with you. Not like I was bad, whatever, but like doing a show really makes you critique your whole body, so you have to pose in the mirror every single day, and you just really analyze everything, and you're like, dang, I'm never good enough. You're literally going on stage asking somebody to judge your body. So doing the whole prep, it was really hard because you're super restrictive. You can't go out to eat with your friends. You cannot drink alcohol, which I did, and I lied to my coach because I was like so restricted to my, and I lied to my coach saying, oh, nope, I never drink. Oh, nope, I didn't have a cheat meal this week, even though I totally had cheat meals because it was so restrictive that I really just like couldn't help myself. And then you kind of like get into this cycle of getting so restrictive, and then it leads to like after the show, you just have like a free-for-all flippin' cheat because you've been so restrictive for that whole 4 months while you're doing a prep show or a prep for your show. It's just, it's super hard, but I just want to talk about like the reality of doing these shows and how I felt while I was doing them and like my honest opinion about doing them. So pretty much all in all, cost of doing a show is about, I think I probably spent $1,000 with my coach, my bikini, my spray tan registration for the show, all of my supplements that I had to buy. And everyone's like, well, do you win anything? And I'm like, no, you don't. You get on stage and you get up there, you like pay for your posing coach, you pose for hours and hours and hours, and kind of what do you get at the end of the day? For me, nothing. I don't really like doing shows for me, and this is only my opinion. Some people love it, like my brother and his girlfriend, they love doing shows. I have some friends that love doing shows. So some people really love them, some people really don't. It just works for some people's lifestyles, and it just doesn't really work for mine. I know that for your peak week, you have to deplete water. So you have to do a water depletion. So you start like 7 days out, you drink 2 gallons of water. 6 days out, you drink 1.5 gallons. And then every day that comes on, you decrease your water. So by the time 3 days out from your show, you're not drinking any water. You're not drinking any water for like 3 days. So you can just get as tight as possible and be as like shredded as possible and be like a little like nothing pretty much. And you also have to carb deplete. So that entire, like pretty much the last month of doing my show, prepping for my show, I was not eating any carbs. I really was minimal carbs. I was eating like egg whites and tilapia and asparagus, and taking these pills to like help really deplete all of my water. So it's like a dandelion root tea and stuff like that, all for this one day. And after the show, I was like, what was that all for? 4 months of like, it was super hard. And then after your show, you have really deprived yourself so much that after your show, you kind of just like, your brain is like, oh my gosh, food, I can eat food, what is this? And for me, I got into a bad cycle where I was just like binge eating because I was like, oh, I can do this, like I've just worked so hard, I can go out, eat some ice cream, go eat some pizza, and then I'll go here, oh, I'm not really satisfied yet, so I'm gonna go to this other place, and then I would eat until my stomach hurt. And a couple of times I totally was so full that I puked 2 times. I remember those 2 times I was so ashamed of myself, being like, wow, I really got into the cycle of binge eating, and I was at a really bad point where I was so obsessed with food and threw it up, and it was a bad time. And I remember looking at this situation, I was like, wow. So why I'm making this video is because I had a friend tell me, they're like, well, isn't that when you're the healthiest that you've ever been? And I was like, absolutely not. The healthiest I've ever been is right now. I'm 15 pounds heavier than when I was in my show, and I'm so much happier. I have a better relationship with food. And even though I am carrying a little more weight, like I'm just as nice, or no, I'm nicer, I'm 10 pounds heavier, and I'm like funnier. Like I have a personality. And you know what, like if people don't like that, then I'm sorry. It's just like, that's the way of life. And fitness and nutrition have this like idea of having this 6-pack, and that's the healthy. That's what it is to be healthy and go to the gym 6 times a week and live this healthy lifestyle. That's what, if you do that, you'll have a 6-pack, right? That's what she was telling me. She was like, but that's what you'll have if you just go to the gym. And like fitness and nutrition and doing shows, they put on this whole happy gung-ho, like it's all fun, but in reality, it's like, it's really dangerous. It can be if you're not in a good mindset with it, and it messes with your head. At least it did with mine. That's my opinion on it. Again, it's just my opinion and how I handled doing a show, and that it's just, it gets hard. Some things that also aren't talked about when you do a show is a lot of girls will lose their period because your body fat goes from such a high, it's not a high point, but it tanks, like it goes down dramatically and your body is in like survival mode. So having a period is very secondary. You don't need to have a period anymore if your body is in survival mode. So I know a lot of girls that actually lose their period when they're doing a show, and I don't feel like that's really healthy. Something that also happens is like you have eating issues after doing a show because you've deprived yourself so much. It happened to me, and it is a very, very vicious cycle. But for me, now I prefer to live a much more balanced lifestyle and kind of not have like a wishy-washy crash diet. So for me, having like eating the same things every single day and upping my calories and not like being forced to go to the gym, that works for my lifestyle. It doesn't work for everybody else's. But I just like to live a more balanced lifestyle than doing shows, but I do know that some people really love doing shows, and that is so, so awesome for you guys. I just wanted to give my very, very honest opinion and what it really took me to get to that stage lean, and what it takes most people. But again, I don't want to discredit for anybody that is doing shows, and if you love them, that's awesome. That is just how I felt about doing a show.
I just wanna dance and feel